Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome. I am the Crypto Crow. I am live today because there's a good amount of stuff to go over, and I've got some charts that we're going to look at. What's going to happen with Cardano as we continue moving into the bull run, the bull market. What's up, Alex? I see you. I got your text messages earlier as well, but I had already seen it, brother. I see everything. I see everything. I'm still waiting for somebody to send me some. Actually, you've sent me a couple things that I haven't seen first, but it's rare, and I must have been on a break day or something. Yeah, I see everything all the time, and generally a few hours. Typically, you're like a day late, but it's okay, man. I know you can't be me. Eric James, what's going on? Chad is gay for Crow. What's going on? Welcome. Oh, what's up, man? I don't even want to say your name, but I don't know why it's funny to me. So basically what's going to be happening with Cardano? There's a lot happening. And I think the first thing we're going to look at is Bitcoin dominance, because quite frankly, I think Cardano's getting ready to go for another tear. And we're going to look at some of the evidence to that. Bitcoin dominance is continuing to fall. I don't think it's coming back up. I could be wrong, but I really don't think it's coming back up. It's just continuing to move down. This is a weekly chart. And, I can see it bottoming out probably somewhere around the 33, 34% range. If history is to repeat itself or even act in kind, we're looking at a pretty significant drop as everything just continues flowing into Bitcoin, but also flowing out into the altcoin market. We know XRP has been tearing. I'm so pissed that I felt at the time, I felt like I was forced to get out of XRP because of everything going on with it legally. And I think I actually got out of XRP at like 11 cents or something, man. Like I know it wasn't good at all, but it just kept going down. And I'm like, you know what? This isn't gonna, I don't see this turning around anytime soon. And it didn't. I mean, it's taken years, like several years for anything to happen, but boy, is it going on a tear now. So if you've been holding and you're part of the XRP army and you're just like super, super happy, congratulations, man. Sincerely, I've never been against XRP at all. I was actually quite bullish on it until the SEC started doing what they were doing. And I'm like, man, they really have it out. I did do a video a while back where I basically talked about how I felt like, I think it was around the time when the SEC went after Coinbase and Binance. Some of you guys will probably remember this video. And I basically said, I look at what the SEC is doing as kind of anointing the platforms, the projects, or whatever they're going to have real official use. And, I told everybody, I was like, as soon as it started, I'm like, Binance is going to be the scapegoat. Binance is going to be the bad guy. Coinbase is going to be the good guy. And I've said that about other projects as well. When they mention a project, it's almost, it felt at the time, I think now it's been kind of, my theory has been a little validated, but it seemed like the projects that they were kind of quote unquote going after were projects they knew that could pay some bills, but in the process of paying those bills, basically anointing them and saying, you know what, these are, you guys are doing something and we need to control you. And if we can't control you, then you're probably going to go off and be amazing things. And, it is what it is, man. But, it's like hindsight's always 2020. So unfortunately, I had sold all my XRP. I even had some XRP not that long ago and I ended up selling it, but I sold it for Cardano. So it doesn't really matter. And it is what it is. But yeah, dominance in Bitcoin's continuing to drop a bit. Now, Bitcoin is currently trading at about $96,000. And of course, I've got a few different indicators here that I'm keeping my eye on to kind of get a gauge as to the peak. And you can see these two lines here. These are basically the pi cycle top indicators that I'm running on most of my charts so that I never miss it. We've still got quite a ways to go. And here's the thing for a lot of the newcomers that come into the space. You're looking at this pi cycle and you might see, I should probably make them a little darker perhaps, or maybe a little brighter. Let's make that one yellow, make it a little, oh, that's why opacity was off. Okay. And you're probably looking at this stuff and you're thinking, hey, this is just two lines, and I'm not even going to get into the complexities of what makes up the pi cycle indicator, but it's been pretty accurate. The thing of it is a lot of people need to expect some significant corrections in the market. As a matter of fact, that was something that I wanted to look up. Let me see here. I'll show this real quick. This is the rainbow chart I always reference. We've been kind of dipping down a little bit on this rainbow chart. This is a logarithmic chart on a weekly scale, and you can see kind of the diminishing returns over time. But even though there are diminishing returns over time, the number still goes up. Now, what I want to see is the CME futures. CME, I can't even remember. It's been so long. CME futures. I can't even remember what's it called. Chad, help me out. It's been so long since I've looked at CME futures, but I know that there's a big CME futures gap in Bitcoin. Is it the Bitcoin tether perpetual future? That's not it. Let me know in chat. I forget how to chart the CME futures. It's been so long. Maybe it's because I need to go into this. CME group, NASDAQ. No, I don't remember. But anyway, the point I'm bringing up, I meant to have this all set up, and my mind is totally drawing a blank right now, even though I've been on the chart like a gazillion times over the years. But there's a big window between, I think it was something like 78,000 and like 80 something thousand, where there's a big empty gap in the CME futures market. MBT, is that it? MBT, Bitcoin, micro Bitcoin future, CME. Thank you, stacks. Yeah, the font's so small. Now let's see, where can we find this? Because I don't want all this other stuff on here. Where is it's on a weekly. Let's just look at it on a daily. Did it fill somehow? Where is the gap? I'm not seeing it. There was a gap somewhere around in this area. And why is it not showing it? I know there was a gap, daggone it. It was somewhere between like 78,000 and like 82 or 84,000. And for whatever reason, it's just not showing. So anyway, I know there was a gap. But anyway, my theory is that before we hit and we break through 100,000, that we were likely going to probably come down and fill that $78,000 to $84,000 gap in the CME futures market. And I'm doing something wrong here, and because I'm live, I can't think about it. Watching during my lunchtime, well, welcome. But I really do think that we're likely going to get some sort of a bigger correction in the market before we break 100,000. And the reason I say that, and I could be completely off. All right. I could be completely off. I'm always right sometimes, but just knowing the way the market works, in order for us, once we break 100,000 and we close above it, especially, but even when we like really break above it, that is going to be such a major milestone in crypto. That from there, and I haven't pulled up my liquidity charts or anything in a while. I haven't really been charting much of anything in a while. I've been working on other stuff. I'm going to be getting back to that. I'm going to kind of create a system so that I can start covering it in daily videos. And I basically just know like CME futures plays a big role in that. And when we break 100,000 from there, I really do think it's just going to float. I think it's going to float to the upside from there for quite a while. A lot of the numbers, even my own projection on this rainbow chart, I mean, I have it at 185,000 roughly, but that could be so low, because the reality is that if we look at these markets, if we look at what happened in the 2017 market, you just see an insane ramping up to $20,000. And that came all the way down from like 587, okay, down here. And we just had that one pretty steady flow. But even in the midst of that, you see these corrections. Okay, so we had one here, we had one here. We had these big white candles. Now, these are weekly candles. So over the course of a week, we would get these pretty significant corrections. Now, a lot of these range between 20 and 40% corrections in the market during a major bull run. And that was one steady flow. I'm expecting to see something similar to that because you notice here, we didn't have as many of those major corrections in the price action. We had a few, but I don't think they were as significant. And I think ultimately this was part of the reasoning why we ended up in a 2-peak cycle, because it just, the trajectory was, it was just, everything about it didn't sit well. But I think we're in line to have something very similar to the 2017 market here for a multitude of reasons, obvious of which is the spot Bitcoin ETFs that are just buying more Bitcoin than realistically is being sold in a fluid way. And I believe that the exchange reserves are diminishing. I mean, every week there are less Bitcoin reserves on exchanges than the week before. That's been an ongoing trend now since the spot ETFs launched. I just think that these spot ETFs, there's going to come a point, I believe, and now I've said this so many times in the past years, it's been a matter of when, and that is, when do we get the super cycle that doesn't crash? I don't personally believe that's going to be until the 2030 market, but because all of the narratives around all of the stuff that we're talking about now, the transition from, TradeFi, like traditional finance markets being blockchained, right? Like tokenized, all that, tokenized real world assets, all of these narratives that we're seeing, and all of these blockchains that are basically being vetted to see which of these blockchains are going to really cater to and enable us to achieve these transitions out of the old way into the new way. And I saw a question earlier today that asked me, hey, Crow, do you think it's actually possible that we start doing anything with U.S. elections on the blockchain? And my answer was this: if our governments want us to truly adopt CBDCs, right, then there needs to be a way to usher people into that in a way that they care about. Well, what is one thing that more now than ever, the community, the society, the public, everybody, the people of every country, not just the US, what's the one thing that they care about more than anything about right now? That's voting, making sure the voting is secure, making sure that it's transparent, all of that. So if we want society to adopt these CBDCs to ultimately give them even more control over what we do with our finances and to be able to monitor everything that we do, they have to do it in a way that we're basically asking for it. Well, the narrative is starting to increase and it's starting to heat up more. Well, we want blockchain voting. Give us blockchain voting. Enough of these machines, enough of these arguments. Why is California still counting votes like 3 weeks later? Like, Florida is like this, third largest state in the country. They did it all in a day. Why? What's California's hang up? Is it because numbers are racist? So they're not using math? Like, what is it with California? And so everybody wants this all cleared up. And so I think effectively they're going to do elections on the blockchain at some point. Now, maybe it starts state by state and instead of like a federal transition, like the actual like presidential. I think they're going to test it with cities, states. We're going to have some test cities, whether it's Wyoming or who knows where. But yes, I do think it's a matter of time. What I'm also seeing is I'm seeing Cardano basically really transforming. I mean, Cardano has been a caterpillar for so many years now. And I don't even feel like it's really fully like a full-blown monarch butterfly yet, but it's coming and it's about to be. We can see the antenna. We can see the color on the wings. We can see the shape, the size. It's ready to do some big things. And I think ultimately there's going to be a narrative about Cardano and blockchain voting. I 100%. I'm not saying it's going to be utilized for that, but I do believe that, because here's the thing. I don't think Charles wants CBDCs happening on the Cardano blockchain. I believe that whatever blockchain is utilized for voting is also going to be the blockchain for CBDCs, because I do believe that to some extent there's going to be incentives there for people to take part in it. So there's still a lot to unfold, but it's definitely coming. I really do believe it's coming. And so There's still a lot to be said, but I think it's happening. Out of curiosity, I was looking at Solana against Cardano, and like it's just not looking good. And a lot of people are like, "Oh, you didn't zoom out enough. Look at what it did before." And I'm like, "Yeah, this was before. This was all stuff happening." And as a matter of fact, I've got a sponsored segment towards the end of this video I'm going to dive into that I want you guys to pay attention to because it actually looks pretty cool. It's an EVM chain. And man, they got like 150 million in capital to build this stuff. And they were kind of like, I thought it was funny because I was reading through their light paper and some of their other stuff I'm going to show you a little bit later. It's called Somnia. And they're basically like, our numbers, because they were showing like their throughput, transactions per second and all of that. And they were like showing these charts of like, throughput of other competitive blockchains. And they were like, our numbers don't add up to what Solana shows on their website because we're using real world numbers, not like just marketing. And I'm like, ooh, dig. So I actually posted that on Twitter a few minutes ago because I thought it was funny. But I'm going to show you the project here in a little bit. Let's get into a little bit of Cardano news, and then we'll come back. I like to look at people's projections on what they think may be happening with Cardano's price. And this is one I took a look at earlier that's basically showing a $4.88. But it's showing it all the way like this is going to happen in like August of 2026, folks. Unless we end up in some form of super cycle that continues on beyond the typical 4-year range, I do not believe we're going to peak out in 2026. If we even look at, let me see if I have any of those charts here at the moment. This is, I guess I'll show this now. 300,000 transactions per second on Cardano is just reached as they're preparing for this Hydra X Doom tournament on Cardano. I wasn't going to show this, but I mean, even looking at that just looks sick. That's just insane. Go Cardano, man. That's all I can say. If there's ever been a point in time where there's been more vindication for those of us who have been really deep diving and appreciating Cardano's efforts and its mission and its milestones and its eras and everything, man. I mean, this is our market. This is our cycle. And I've been saying this, I don't know how many years. I'm like, this is going to be our market cycle. Once we see the culmination of all the work that's gone into building Cardano to do everything it was designed to do, it's going to be our market. And Cardano is likely going to flip a lot of projects unexpectedly for a lot of people. And I know that a lot of people are taking action right now because we're seeing major whale inflows into Cardano right now. And it's not slowing down really. I mean, this is just the tip of the iceberg. So anyway, I was trying to find something. I can't remember what the heck I was looking at. I'm not 100% prepared to go live for this video. Man, there's about 1,000 of you watching right now. Thank you guys for joining me. I know it's been a little while since I've done anything, so I figured I would go live and maybe get to questions and things once I've gone through everything and maybe hang out. Maybe this becomes an hour-long live stream. Maybe it doesn't. I don't know. Whatever it takes us. But anyway, even if we were to basically run through a fib real quick from the top to bottom of the last market cycle, you can see the 0.618 is sitting at $2. I believe we're going to break $2 next. I honestly think we could break $2 by the end of this month. I really do. I nailed the prediction for my birthday so hard that I just got flooded with messages. And, if you're not following me on Twitter, you probably should, because I really have a blast, especially if I'm taking a long bath and I'm just chilling from a stressful day. I sit in the bath and I just play on Twitter, man. And I like post all my thoughts and, but I basically said, like, we're going to hit $1 on my birthday. That's going to be the biggest birthday present. And just reaching that initial emotional milestone for Cardano. And sure enough, it did. And man, the messages I was getting, like, you were right. It's $1. It broke $1. Happy birthday. It was such a cool day. It was such a cool experience. But I really think that $2 is next, and I think it may very well be our Christmas present for everybody. We'll see what happens. But like I said, I say these things, but I don't forget the fact that I know that there's a CME futures gap in here somewhere, and it's around the $78,000 level is the bottom of it, and we may very well fill that at some point before we break the 100,000. Because once we break 100,000, folks, this is some This is completely untested territory. And depending on when we break that 100,000, depending on when Cardano breaks that $2 mark and then breaks that $3 mark, okay? $3, we break $3 after the inauguration. That's what I think. And then from there, it's away we go. Now, this gentleman's chart was basically saying, hey, you know, it's very likely we hit $4.88 by this point, you know, in 2026. I think this is garbage, quite frankly. Nothing against him. He's bullish, and I appreciate it. But I do believe that there is going to be a bit of like everything is condensed a little bit in this market, and partly because of the way the spot Bitcoin ETFs kind of threw things off. We got the all-time high before the halving. Everything's being kind of pushed to the front, but what I think could be likely, because we had a 2-peak market last cycle. Now, and keep in mind, as I'm saying all this, I'm keeping such a close eye on so many different things. And I don't know if anybody ever says this, but this is what I believe, for whatever it's worth. I believe we could potentially see one of the biggest fake outs in crypto, because... and that basically sends us into a super cycle in 2025 and from then on, that continues on into 2030. And I'm saying that because the institutions are fucking dirtballs, man. I mean, that's all there is to it. It's all about greed, control, power, and they have it. And the more they accumulate with these ETFs, the more they're basically, you know, garnering more and more financial power over this new era of disruption that we've all been taking part in as retail lemmings. They are transitioning the entire world out of the old way into the new way. Bitcoin, as the store of value that it is going to dictate a lot in those markets. They want to control that. I think Michael Saylor, I don't think Market Saylor is doing this as a form of control. I think Michael Saylor genuinely just understands the technology and the benefits of having Bitcoin as kind of a digital gold or a digital store of value in such a limited supply. It's simple economics for him, so he's accumulating. But people like BlackRock and Larry Fink with much, much bigger agendas at play, I believe that once we hit a particular milestone in the market, depending on where it happens in this cycle over the next 6 months, maybe, I think maybe we don't see some of these major 20%, 40% corrections, but maybe once we peak out, maybe we peak out around 200,000, 225,000, right? Maybe that's our peak. We think that's the peak. But what they do is they then basically dump on us. They dump on us hard, dropping that price, scaring the shit out of everybody. They're watching all these indicators, making sure these indicators trigger. Everybody's exiting their positions. And they're gobbling it up very, very slowly. They're letting the market fall. They gobble it up. And then when they start, because here's what's happening. These ETFs are buying up pretty much everything available on the market. Why would they stop doing that just because we are expecting a 4-year cycle? Their goals and their agenda and everything that they're working towards is much different than just number go up, I want to change my life. They want to be able to control a new industry. They're not going to just, they're not playing the same rules that we're playing, and they're not playing by the same things that we're expecting. I really believe that they are going to create a major, major fake out at some point in this market. That's my firm prediction. And I believe that once that fake out bottoms and they've literally accumulated everything they can at the lowest prices possible, that's when everything's going to shoot up again. And I think, if I'm going to hazard a guess, I think that what happened in the 2021 market was a test run, because we're going to get that first initial peak. They've got a feeling as to how the market's going to react to that control, the price dumping before it goes back up. How does that price go back up? They've studied this. They've simulated it. They've done so many things that you and I have never even thought to discuss. And I believe that that's what's going to likely happen next year. And then from there, it continues on into 2030. We start seeing more of these narratives. Cardano is going to be done. Cardano is going to be utilized for so many different things. A lot of these blockchains are going to really start being utilized for a lot of these major use cases that they've been putting out on CNBC and all these, Squawk News, whatever the hell they're talking about. And I really think that that's what's coming. And I think that a lot of people are going to get shaken out of the market. They're going to get scared. That's why no matter what happens, I'm very, very hesitant to sell my Bitcoin. And if I did sell my Bitcoin, it would be very temporary just to catch a dip and accumulate a little bit more. And because when it comes to my Bitcoin, I think going into 2030, there are two things. Like I'm always going to have my Cardano node. So I'm always going to have 100,000 ADA no matter what, because that's my pledge to the node. I'm not touching it. And then I plan on holding on to my Bitcoin. And then from there, it's basically what I do is going to be very dependent on where we're at in the market cycle, what the indicators are saying, what the inflows are. I do believe we're going to get a Cardano ETF. For the same reason there are Bitcoin ETFs with these people like BlackRock. They're not buying these ETFs because they just want the price to go up. They don't give a shit. They manage trillions of dollars in assets. This is about control. And if there's anything that I know about the narratives associated with a lot of the, I would consider them leftists. I'm pretty sure Larry Fink is a leftist, the DEI and all of these different initiatives that are now basically falling apart. But they want control. They want to establish control, and that control helps them profit more and have more influence on a global scale. What is going to give companies like BlackRock, Vanguard, any of these big institutional interests, what's going to give them more control over decentralized blockchains like Cardano with a consensus system that enables the token holders to vote on major issues associated with the blockchain? Well, accumulation. What happens if a Cardano spot ETF grows and then they start gobbling up everything they can on the open market and basically increasing their level of control and how they can vote in a system like Cardano? They're going to accumulate using public funds to be able to increase their voting power. Okay, that's what I see. That would be the reason for them creating a spot ETF, not because the number is going to continue going up. It will, most likely, but the reasoning behind it is going to be much different than the reason you and I are buying into Cardano. Do you understand? So these are all of the things that I think about day in and day out as I'm reading everything going on in the crypto sphere, basically trying to prepare for what I expect to happen while also being able to live in the now. I get a lot of people asking me questions related to what's my exit strategy. Well, my exit strategy is to do what I feel is necessary to improve my life, to make sure that I don't have to think or worry so much about money, about inflation, about any of these things, doing things much more wisely than I did in 2021. That's for sure. I learned a lot of things. I'm not moving to Puerto Rico. I'm not doing none of that shit. I'm just going to pay my taxes in the US and live my days and just continue doing what I do. And that's it. And I'm going to focus on all my projects. I might write another book. For those of you guys that don't know, you got Vibrantism is available on paperback. You guys might want to check that out. If you don't even have a clue what Vibrantism is, just go to the website. There's a link in the description. Click this button. It'll open up an audio talking about the book. And you know, there's a lot to it. Think of it like a philosophy and basically kind of a way to help you change your life, your perspective on things. There's so much to it. It's like 600 something pages. Okay. So check that out if you will. But anyway, that's kind of what I'm looking at. My exit strategy isn't necessarily an exit strategy as much as it is just me constantly paying attention to the narratives of the world, what's going on, how we're transitioning from A to B, and where I expect to be in the midst of it. And that's basically what I'm looking at. Cardano's TVL blast to a new record high. Will ADA become 2024's top altcoin? I believe it will. The total value locked TVL and smart contracts on the Cardano blockchain just surpassed $700 million, according to DeFi Llama, a new record high. And baby, it's only going to get better. Once the inauguration has taken place and all of Trump's picks, all these people are really actively getting to work, the pro-crypto narrative is going to change everything. We're seeing the beginnings of that now, but it's absolutely going to change everything. And I just think we are in line to see something that I think a lot of our predictions for things, a lot of what we're used to seeing. I mean, think about it. Cardano got to 314 in the last market cycle, and that was absolutely against the grain with no smart contracts yet. Smart contracts had just kicked off at the peak of the market. There was no benefit for price action there. So, you know, we're seeing so many new narratives come about the Bitcoin OS narratives, the crypto policies of part of the Trump administration, all of these different things, the potential for there being no capital gains tax. Personally, I don't think there ever should be capital gains tax, ever. If I'm putting in the work, I'm putting in the effort, I'm risking everything just to basically give the government a bunch of it to send overseas or to basically fill their coffers through, oh, well, we're going to send this money to this military complex so that, you know, we get the kickbacks and all of the super PAC donation. It's all a big cycle, man. And they take all of our money and they waste it, they blow it, they throw it away, they give it away. But one way or another, we've got people in the White House that are making $200,000 a year and somehow they amass $200 million in wealth. And yet, you know, they're going after little people all over the place because they, you know, made a mistake on their freaking $20,000 tax return or their, you know, it's absolute insanity, man. And I really don't think there should be capital gains tax at all. I think taxes overall, I've seen a lot of questions related to, would you pay 100% premium on products if there were no taxes whatsoever? And I'm like, yeah, I would. Sure. Give me the choice into what I pay my taxes to. You know, if I want to go buy a new car and it's 50 grand, if it costs me 100 grand, but I'm not paying, I'm not paying, whatever in taxes. Is that a little more unfair maybe to people that make a little less? Sure, I think it might be. So maybe there's a flat tax across the board for everybody, something like that. I don't want people to be hurting. If I've been fortunate enough to do what I've done and to achieve what I have, I don't want to be, I'm not one of those guys. I don't need to sit up on a pedestal somewhere looking down at the little people. I'm actually one that I want to help everybody rise up. That's my whole point for even being on YouTube to begin with. And I don't know, man. It's a really big deal to me. The taxes are a real pain in the ass. I think that the IRS screwed me hard for an honest mistake. And they basically pushed me up against the wall and said, F you, pay us. And, you're not going to be able to sell this house unless you pay us. You're not going to be able to do anything unless you pay us all this money. And by the way, we almost doubled it with penalties and all kinds of bullshit that you can't do anything about because we're the IRS. F you, pay me. And I'm like, you know what? I could have avoided all of that had I did the full term in Puerto Rico. I could have utilized everything I had set out, but I'm like, you know what? I appreciate the infrastructure that I have in the United States. I appreciate the freedoms that I do have in the United States. I know that things are corrupt. Things are really bad. And keep in mind, this was all during the pandemic. But I'm like, I don't mind paying my taxes as long as it's fair. As long as it's fair. And I see all these leftists, I go, pay your fair share. But meanwhile, you've got the president's son basically avoiding like a decade's worth of taxes and just gets pardoned because nobody's above the law. Get the fuck out of here with that shit. I'm so tired of all of this bullshit every time I turn around. And it's just like when it comes to the altcoin world, when it comes to crypto, this is our avenue out. This is our avenue out of the control that's been imposed on us by the people that have a way to fill their bank accounts, do whatever they want. We've got the number one trader in the fucking world, man. Number one trader of all traders to ever exist. Some little old bitty who's basically telling us that trading on inside information is fair market, fair free market. That's okay, right? And it's just like crypto is our answer to all of that. This is the way we disrupt the old regime and turn things in our favor for once. And that's what I am about. That is also why I'm wildly all about decentralized crypto, decentralized blockchain, proof of stake blockchains, not this proof of work stuff that actually was all right. Bitcoin, that's cool. But it's like, I don't want to have to lock my resources up to generate a yield. I don't want any more controls over what I do in the crypto space than is necessary to make it work. And it's just like, I am very, very bullish over where we're heading in 2025 with this new administration and the people that are being put in place now. I love the secrecy of the transition team. I love that Trump's basically paying for his own transition team so that he can't have all these people. He doesn't have to disclose this, that, or another thing, who he's paying to do what or what. He doesn't have to do any of that. For the first time ever, we've got somebody who's like, you know what? Screw you. I'm going to keep this in my own wheelhouse. You guys will figure it out when we do it. I'm going to pay for it out of my own pocket so that it's not a government concern, right? I like that stuff because it's got these people scared to death. What's going to happen? What's he going to do? Who's going to be in trouble? Who's not? And it's time for things to change. I'm so sick and tired of everything the way it is. I do believe that we need to get rid of taxes to some extent. Give us a flat tax. Get rid of capital gains tax. Throw those tariffs out there for everybody that's trying to use this country as a scapegoat, a market center, a way for them all to profit while we're all being hurt. We shouldn't have anywhere near the number of homeless people that we have littered throughout this country, but we do because nobody gives a shit, because they're more worried about how much money they're making, their $20 million homes or their whatever. And it's just like, and then they're the ones that are perpetuating these narratives about, we've got to tax the rich. Fuck you and your whole bullshit narrative. I'm so sick of seeing it. And I'm so sick of seeing all the people all over social media each and every day just parroting all of the nonsense that's being spewed out across these social media platforms, these mainstream media platforms, all of it. I'm so fed up with it. I'm tired of the nonsense. And that's basically why I do what I do in crypto and why I think a lot of this stuff really does need to change. I also believe that Cardano is going to continue growing into becoming one of the number one blockchains in all of blockchain space. And it's doing it all against the grain. Why? Not because we've got other competing blockchains that are basically trying to make it difficult, but because it's achieved everything it set out to achieve and then some in its own time frame. Regardless of what the FUD has been saying, regardless of the people that have been trying to act against it in fear of it being such a competition to their own fucking bags and their own levels of greed, all of that stuff goes right out the window, and the truth obviously always comes out at some point. And now we're seeing that truth happen right before our very eyes. We're seeing XRP rip. We're seeing HBAR rip. We're seeing a lot of these newbies in the space, a lot of these people that think that because they're new to the space and what was supposedly important in their day, right? We're seeing these narratives and these people come back like, oh, it looks like a lot of these boomer tokens are going up. Like they had some sort of superiority complex because they knew what the fuck they were doing in the meme coin market. You knew how to sell a pet rock. Congratulations, idiot. You never read a fucking white paper and you're going to act like you're superior to those of us who've been around since 2017, actually educating people on what brought you to the space to begin with. Fuck off. I'm so fed up. Do you guys not get it yet? This is why I don't do a lot of content right now, because I'm so sick and tired of these flip-floppers, these up or downers. Today I'm bullish, today I'm bearish. I don't really give a fuck what does well as long as I get rich. Fuck my viewers. Fuck everyone that watches me. I don't really care what I have to say because I'm never going to be held accountable for any of it anyway. So, hey, today I love this. Tomorrow I hate it. Tomorrow I'm going to get paid to show this. Tomorrow they're not going to pay me, so I'm not going to give a shit anymore. This narrative, all these narratives, these bullshit ass artists, all these influencers in the space, they're just as bad as a lot of the politicians that are regurgitating all the same shit day in and day out too. It's time for a change. 2025 is the year of fucking change, and 2025 is the absolute year I see Cardano going on some serious fucking tears. And you know what? If we end up in a super cycle, so be it. I'm ready for it. Let's go, baby. I'm locked and loaded. We're going to the fucking moon. And all of these other projects out there that are trying to manipulate the people like MSNBC, these Solana coins that are basically fed by VCs to try and put all this bullshit marketing to fool you out of your fucking money so that they can profit. Fuck them too. I don't give a shit how many F-bombs I've dropped. I'm sure I'm going to get messages, and I'm sorry if you've got kids and you're huddled in a room by the fireplace and you listen to Crow just talk shit today. But this is how I feel, and this is the reason why I came online. And this is the reason why I'm here pretty much anytime I go live anymore. I'm just fed up. I'm fed up. I'm tired of the bullshit. I'm tired of these garbage ass narratives, and I'm tired of the idiots that perpetuate them on a daily basis because they're being fucking paid to. It's time for a change. Now, Donald Trump selects pro-crypto Paul Atkins to be the next U.S. SEC chair. I don't know shit about this guy. Haven't even read this article, but I just thought I'd share it because I felt like it was pertinent. Look into it another time. I'm just so fed up. All right, I'm going to dive into Somnia real quick. This is a paid segment, but I want you guys to pay attention. This is an EVM compatible layer 1 for a fully on-chain world. These guys are not just about building an EVM sidechain or any of that. They're basically trying to build a technology that enables extremely high throughput for the gaming worlds, for other use cases beyond just finance. And from everything I've read, I've covered them in the past, and from everything I've read, they're actually pretty interesting. And you know, this is one of those kinds of projects where it's not an easy, I'm going to dive in real quick, learn a little bit about it, and like talk about it in depth. There's so much to this ecosystem. You can't really cover it in 5 minutes. There are links in the description. I encourage everyone to check them out. But you know, it's definitely worth checking out. I will say that. The Dream Computer, currently sitting at 400,000 TPS, which is funny because that's basically what Cardano just broke. Somnia's novel multi-stream consensus and super fast custom database, ICE database, enables the highest throughput, lowest latency EVM compatible chain. There's only one hang up I have about EVMs, especially like ERC20 based EVMs, is security. We see the majority of hacks in crypto on EVM chains, man. And I don't really think there's, from everyone I've talked to and everything I've seen, I'm not sure. This is something I need to dive deeper into Somnia to better understand. Maybe I will even have one of their lead devs or something like that come on and talk about it. Not just as it relates to Somnia, but overall security. How do you get past some of the major security issues associated with EVM chains? Because that's where we see the bulk of the hacks on like Ethereum and some of these other blockchains. It's the EVM chains. So, you know, I'm very interested in this as a project, as an application, as a chain, but EVM scares me. Anytime I see EVM, I think, that scares me a little bit. And I haven't really found anything specifically as it relates to Somnia about how they resolve that. But there's a lot of stuff going on with it. They're getting ready to kick off a major thing tomorrow on the 4th. And I'm going to cover some of those details. I need to pull those up again. But Somnia is a high performance, cost efficient, EVM compatible layer 1 blockchain capable of processing over 400,000 transactions per second with sub-second finality. It is suitable for serving millions of users and building real-time mass consumer applications like games, social applications, metaverses, and more, all fully on chain. This is one of the reasons I'm interested in this, because you know, a lot of people, they want to build applications where, you know, you're doing everything off chain, but you're finalizing everything on chain for it to be stored on chain. And that's all fine and dandy. But if, you know, personally, I would love to see a social media platform that is 100% on chain. Everything is on chain, so that, you know, what you posted, because one of the things that we're seeing, and why I believe this is such a big deal, I'd obviously love to see it on Cardano, but I'm just as happy to see it on Somnia if somebody wants to build it. We're seeing so many historical narratives being altered in real time because they don't line up with what is being projected today. We're seeing how, you know, assets, I consider it an asset, like Wayback Machine. I've used Wayback Machine so many times over the years to show historical data in blockchain, but they're having so many problems. And because there's been this mission where people have been going after them because, you know, somebody might say something today, somebody will go with a Wayback Machine and realize, oh, well, they just lied because this is what they said not that long ago or 5 years ago or when their career started, right? And it's just like, and now we're seeing, well, now they're under attack because there can't be any record. There can't be any record. You can't leave any proof that you're full of shit, because if you do that and it's found on Wayback Machine, well, now we have a problem. So we got to attack that. We got to get rid of it. But if you put all of this stuff on the blockchain, you know, even look at Wikipedia. Wikipedia has turned into a complete shit show anymore. I don't even really believe a word on it anymore because I know how it's utilized now. It didn't start that way. Even the founder, one of the co-founders of Wikipedia, has basically come out and said, yeah, it's just changed so much. He's like, I don't have anything to do with it. It's garbage. I don't think he said it was garbage. I'm not quoting him directly, but basically the gist of it is like, yeah, he started it as something completely different and it's turned into something else. He's over it. I think we need more stuff happening on the blockchain that can't be deleted, erased. It can't be messed with or changed in the future because it doesn't line up with a new mission or agenda. Like, we need to track exactly where we've been so that we're not doomed to repeat it. That's a whole part of studying history. And so I'm all about Somnia and their efforts, and 400,000 transactions per second is solid, running over 100 nodes distributed globally. This TPS was ERC20 transfers between several 100,000 accounts. Our next step will be deploying Uniswap, measuring how many swaps per second our chain can do, and simulating a real-world NFT mint similar to the other side, other deed mint. This actual user workload style benchmarking is a true way to assess blockchain performance. Here's the thing. Starting tomorrow, you guys are going to be able to start getting involved in this ecosystem and start getting involved, learning about it, sharing what you learn, and generating tokens and basically making some money, getting a stake in the success of this platform. And you don't actually have to buy. You can, obviously, if you want more, that's coming. But this is definitely a really cool thing, and I think you guys should check out. Now, there was something, this is what I was looking at. So this is a comparison of the different chains, like their competitive chains: Ethereum, Polygon, AVAX, BNB, Base, Polygon, Arbitrum, Ethereum, Optimism, Avalanche. But when I come down here, I saw this. Aptos and Swee's real-world live tests have not hit these levels yet. These numbers are based on their benchmarks. The Solana numbers differ from those on the Solana webpage, as we are using the real-world observed numbers. Using the same methodology as the article above, Solana's numbers are significantly worse at 273.34 swaps per second. So, I mean, I just found that interesting. It's like yet another red flag, another thing that nobody in the Solana ecosystem cares about as long as they're making money somehow. They don't care how, as long as it's happening. And just the level of integrity in the crypto space is so disgusting. And, the more money at play, the more people are going to be showing their true colors, man. And I always say, when somebody shows you their true colors, you believe them and move on. And that's it. Like, that's all you can do. And if you continue to stick around, then, that you're just kind of letting their toxicity bleed into you. And that's just not good. That's not good for anybody. I see some of these guys out there, man, that they will absolutely say and do anything. I see it all the time. I even watched an interview with Mert, the guy from Solana, because I was genuinely curious, like, who is this guy as a guy? It's like, I'm always paying attention and I'm not always talking, but a lot of these people are just not that good. And if ever, there's so much to this Somnia chain that I just encourage everybody to check this out. I mean, really get involved, especially if you can learn about it. Get involved in the testnet. There's a faucet that you can get testnet tokens. You can set up all kinds of stuff. Somnia DevNet is live. It's live and completely open to the public, giving developers a chance to build on the fastest EVM compatible blockchain with sub-second finality and sub-cent transaction fees. Launch the DevNet. Man, get involved and start playing around. This could actually be a good one. I will say this. This is one of the things that I've noticed. A lot of cash grab token projects that are just about like getting your money real quick and then just like sitting on it and bailing and not doing anything. There is so much to this Somnia that I'm like, man, I want to dive in. If I wasn't so busy with everything else I'm doing, this is probably a project that I would legitimately really start looking into in a deep way. At the very least, I've thought about joining the Discord. I haven't yet. But there's just so much data here, man. And there's so much stuff that they're doing that I'm genuinely interested. Unfortunately for me personally, I don't have the time, but I would be very curious for those of you out there that do kind of take notice and dive into a lot of this stuff. You check out the testnet, look through the explorers and everything. Let me know, like, keep me posted, because if you guys are, here's the thing. if you guys get involved in a blockchain that I talk about as a sponsor, and you have really good experiences and you like what you find, let me know, because I'm much more likely to cover it outside of sponsorship in the future. It's just difficult if I am not personally putting a lot of time into it. But I need to be able to verify stuff. I need to know, like, hey, this is legit. This is cool, good stuff. This is what's happening. So, don't be afraid to send me messages sometimes. What I get all the time are projects that are like, hey, I just bought this last week. Could you cover it? Could you talk about it? Because I bought it. And I'm like, no, that's not how I work, man. Sorry. So anyway, check that out. Let me pull this over here. I'm probably going to do a follow-up for them in the future, because after the 4th, that's when things really start kicking off. Where was the information I had set up? I had something set up and I don't know what happened to it. Use cases? No. Use cases, gaming, fully on chain for all forever evolving games, SocialFi, true ownership for social media accounts. It's a really big deal. Man, I really wouldn't mind building on something like this. Metaverse, building interoperable virtual societies, DeFi, obviously, real-time applications, powering real-time large scale. I mean, listen, man, I think this could be pretty cool. And it's been a while since I've seen a project that I'm like, man, I really do want to kind of dive into this a little bit more and really learn more about it. A lot of the projects that I've been getting lately have been actually a lot more interesting to me than a lot of the stuff I've seen in previous years. So check it out. Their links are down below. It's Somnia.network is the website. And yeah, man, get involved. Check it out. Let me know what you guys think. Check out the light paper first, and then let that just become a rabbit hole. Let me check their blog real quick, because I want to see what their blog has to say. My face is itching. Mass consumer applications will take Web3 mainstream. How to apply for Somnia's DevNet and $10 million grant program. Okay, let's take a look at that real quick. Getting started on Somnia's DevNet. Let's take a quick look at that. I'm just going to let your questions and comments pile up in here. I know I kind of went on a little rant today. Somnia partners with Anchor to launch RPC connections and power developer innovation. I dig this, man. I dig this kind of stuff, folks. Somnia's DevNet is finally open for building. We're welcoming all interested developers to apply for DevNet whitelisting and for our $10 million grant program, which includes in-depth developer go-to-market community support. You know what I wouldn't mind? I wouldn't mind maybe one of those guys, they can take Soblox, create a Somnia version of it running on their blockchain, and now they got a social media platform running 100% on chain. I would be totally down. I'd be down to work something out with them. I've already got it built. It's already running. They just need to convert it to being all 100% on chain. That was really the whole point of Soblox to begin with. I wanted it to be 100% on chain. But my dev was a slacker. Apply for Somnia's grant program. You can also find the grant application through the homepage of Somnia's website. Just navigate to the build section and then go from there. So that's cool. Let me see this last thing real quick. Getting started on Somnia's DevNet. Connect your wallet, MetaMask, obviously, ERC20 stuff. Request STT tokens and try sending tokens to a random address. So the token name is going to be STT. Somnia DevNet. All right. So there you go. I mean, it's all there. Check it out, man. I want to know what you guys think. And let me know, like, if you do some deeper dives than I have, let me know. Do you think this is something that maybe should be running something like Soblox, 100% on chain? That'd be a really good way to test this puppy out and figure out like what is possible. Let me know. I'm going to go ahead and pull this screen over, and I'm going to start covering a few of your questions and comments before I get out of here and try to have lunch. Oh my goodness. LOL Crow therapy. Crow, you need a nice old fashioned. Love it. I do need a nice old fashioned. Damn it. It's time. It's time. This is the problem with me, man. It's like I read and read and read, and I see everything going on, and then I don't know. I wasn't expecting to go on any kind of rant today, but it's been quite a while. Kane, Kane, good vibes. Yeah. Oh, who's going to be watching Karate Combat coming up? I'm going to be there. And I want to pick a fight with Bradley Martin. No, I'm kidding. I don't. I've already talked to him. I already threw it out there. And my wife doesn't think it's a good idea for me to train to fight again because I'm so old. I'm 47 now. I'm just too old to be fighting, especially a young buck like Bradley Martin. I think I'd probably do pretty good, but fighting is just not really. It's like, my challenge is I watch it. I love it. I love learning. I love the experience. I really don't like hurting people. I really just don't. It's so against my grain. And that's why I got picked on a lot when I was younger, is because I was so big and I knew like I could maul you, motherfucker. Like I knew what I was capable of. It just didn't have that like killer drive in me. I've never been that way. And it's also why I don't hold grudges either. I've never been able to hold grudges. It's so toxic, man. I don't want that shit in my life. Jason doesn't have to sit on a pedestal. He's like 7 feet tall. He always looks down on people. Not by choice, man. That's for sure. My neck hurts just as bad as all of yours when we're talking. Tax when you paid when you gain, tax when you spend, tax your property you buy, land of the free, roaming out. It's so true, man. You're taxed in every way. I know there was a study at one point that said out of every dollar, like 70 cents ends up being in the government's hands by the time it's been spent and done whatever it's going to do through its full cycle. 70% of every dollar goes back to the government somehow, some way. I just, it's just terrible, man. It's terrible. The original tax was only supposed to support the war at the time. It was supposed to be like a 1% tax on a certain group of the population, and it's just grown. That's why everybody says when you give the government the tiniest sliver, it just ends up growing like a cancer from there, and they just take and take and take and take. It's irresponsible and it's disgusting. And the problem is that the way everybody has us all fighting against one another, they've got this side believing a lot of this bullshit. They have the other side believing a bunch of other stuff. And then they just have us constantly at each other's throats on social media. Basically, they have us everywhere but together talking, like in a real way. They've got this person triggered because of this thing. They got this person triggered because of that thing. So that we're always mad. We're always irritated. We're always frustrated. And we never have enough sense to just shut the fuck up and say, you know what, let's just have a civil conversation. And if I say something you don't like, let me know why. And let's dive into it a little deeper. Maybe we can find some common ground and an understanding. Nobody has the patience for that anymore because everybody's so pissed off. And it's just like, and I'm sure it's always been this way. It's just now with social media and the like, it is what it is. It's just like there aren't any secrets anymore. We are in the midst of an epic Crow rant, baby. Preach it, Crow. I mean, I'm gonna have to watch this back. I hope this isn't something I have to delete at some point. I'm with you, Crow. The government needs to be cleaned out. Thankfully, we have the Trump admin in there to push freedom forward. I mean, I hope so. I'm so tired of the way things are. We really need an opportunity as a society to breathe. And I don't just mean in the US, I mean across the board. It's just a sad state of affairs. And it's like, listen, hey, everyone, all you corrupt politicians out there, have you not made enough? Have you not achieved enough? I know at some point it's not even so much about the money anymore. It's just about winning. Like you win at any. I know people that are in politics. I know people that work in politics. I know that's basically just a bunch of insane psychopathic narcissists competing against one another to win and keep their careers going. I understand how it all works, but can we all just take a fucking break for a minute? Let the people breathe, because it's bad enough when we're at a point in life where everybody's talking about the onset of civil war. Like, at what point do we say, well, maybe we're pushing things a little too far. We should probably chill the fuck out. How about that idea? How about that as a new ideology? Let's not push the public so far that we end up breaking out in some terrible situation that benefits absolutely nobody. How about that? But, a lot of people in politics aren't there because they're fucking smart. Let's put it that way. Crow, been with you for 4 years now. Love you, bro. Love you too. Got a life. Got a life. Got a life. Got a life. Go off, Queen. What the fuck? That's funny. Thank you, Joe Mo. I appreciate that little tip there. I do. I appreciate it. Preaching again. Yeah, I shouldn't. I probably shouldn't do that. I use too many F-bombs when I'm hyped up. These rants are why I love watching. Oh, well, that's good. I guess you got one for the year because it's been so long since I went on a rant. I just all the stuff starts flooding into me and I just say whatever comes to my mind and hope that I don't get like banned or something, censored. I don't know. I've had so many problems with this channel because of things I said I say what I feel, man. It's just my opinion. And sadly, we're just not in a world where opinions are allowed anymore. You have to, you have to really watch every little thing you say, make sure somebody doesn't get their feelings hurt. And it's just so disgusting. But anyway, Crow for presidency. I would never last as a president, but thanks. It just would never be a thing. Even if I got elected, like they wouldn't miss me. I'm way too big, and they would be like, you know what? We're gonna get rid of this guy. We get the dumbest, blindest shooter out there, and we will not miss that big bastard standing on that podium. I'm like Godzilla, so it would just be too dangerous. Hey Crow, good to see you live. Can you elaborate on your tax issues so we learn and maybe avoid these issues? Also, maybe mentioning what systems you use to calculate. Okay, yeah, I'll basically share what happened. Basically what happened was back in 2021, I had a big tax bill and my accountant works out everything. Like every year, basically I set up all my exchanges, all my accounts, my wallets, everything. And it goes into the system that he has and it all gets fed, all the ins and outs and times and dates and all this other stuff. And it all gets calculated. And then my accountant does everything. And then once all is said and done, he's like, okay, you owe this much. You owe this much in income tax. You owe this much in capital gains. And I'm like, okay, cool, fine, whatever. Sucks. I cry a little bit. I'm like, fuck the world. And then I fucking pay it. And that's basically my taxes every 4 years. And I say every 4 years because I really only make an income basically every 4 years. Because everything that I do, I basically let grow in value through the bull market. And then when I cash out, that's what I live on for the next 4 years. But this last time, well, actually, apparently it wasn't even this last time. It was this time and from the previous market, I guess. My wife helped manage a lot of the finances. And I guess the account number that my accountant had to give the IRS to pull the funds out to pay the tax bill wasn't accurate. I had no idea. This last one in 2021 was such a big one that we monitored and we watched to make sure that it went through, right? Because we didn't want any problems. So like, here, you're paid, you're done, get the fuck out of our hair, right? So, and I asked my wife, I was like, did the IRS take the payment? And she's like, yeah, I saw it leave the account. I'm like, okay, cool, we can move on with our lives then. What I didn't know is that like the next day after that, it came back because the funds weren't in that account because we gave them the wrong account. Nobody said a word. Nobody called, no emails, no letter in the mail, no threats, no, hey, you bastard, you guys still didn't pay. There was a problem with your account. Nothing. They didn't say shit to us. They waited years. So what happens years later, which was this year? This year, we started getting letters in the mail. After they applied all these penalties, all this interest, almost doubling the sum, and they said, hey, you owe this much money to the IRS and you need to pay us. And if you need to, you can pay us in Bitcoin. And I'm thinking, we paid our taxes. And I started looking it up and everybody's like, all these fake IRS letters are going all over the internet, right? Part of me now in hindsight wonders if that's on purpose. I'm not even kidding. It's so disgusting. Just to make you think like, whatever, like this is bullshit. Because we thought we were paid a long, long time ago. And I'm like, these aren't the amounts we owe. Well, no, because they added so much shit to it, right? So the long and short of it is we got like 3 notices in the mail. We were sending them to my accountant. Even my accountant thought they were fake. I was comparing them to letters online. And I didn't want to call anybody on the letters because I'm like, it's just going to be some like Indian call center rep that's going to try and scam me because I watch all those videos too. So it was just kind of a catch-22. It was like, there's no way to verify it. Why would I bother? Because we know, my wife was like, we saw it leave the account. So basically the long and short of it was we were selling a house. We were selling the house in Tampa because we moved to Tampa for a while to see if we liked it. We didn't. So we were going to move back. So we're selling the house. So then I get a phone call saying, hey, sir, I understand that you have a tax lien from the IRS. We're here to help and take care of that. I'm like, fuck you, scammer. I'm like, you know what? I've been getting these letters. You guys have been starting to call me. And I'm like, I'm not telling you guys shit. I'm not giving you any personal information, blah, blah, blah. And I hung up. Then I got another one. Then I got another one. And I'm like, what the hell is going on? And I'm like ripping this guy a new one. And I'm like, you son of a bitches. I'm like, who do you people think you are? Why are you blowing me up? And he's like, sir, please calm down for 1 second. This is not a scam. I promise you. You can look it up yourself. You can verify this on the IRS website. You could look. And I'm like, and he gave me some information. And he's like, if you have any questions, once you verified it, just give us a call back. We're here to help. Basically, it was all these law firms that were calling me to basically, they wanted me to pay them to like help. They don't actually do shit. Just so you know, a lot of these law firms, they don't really do much of anything. You just pay them money. And it was after the fact that I found all this stuff about how they operate. And I'm like, okay, everybody's trying to screw me at this point. Okay. And I'm like, I can't trust anybody. They're telling you one thing. They're telling you, oh, we're going to do this and we can do that and we can make this easier. No, they can't. They're not doing shit. IRS does whatever the fuck they want. Doesn't matter who you have like helping you or what the lawyer says. If anything, the lawyers, my opinion is the lawyers are basically just there to help facilitate things and make it easier. That's it. But they're not cutting your bills down. They're just not doing shit. And if anything, that it is what it is, right? So basically what ended up happening is the down payment that I put on the Tampa house, I didn't get back. It's basically what the IRS took it at closing. So, and not only that, but I had to wire them an additional sum to make up any difference in the equity from the sale of that house and what they were saying that I owed them. And they did not budge. They did not come down. I did not get to pay less. Nobody was able to work anything out for me that says I can, I'm going to get rid of the penalties or I can get rid of the interest, and none of that happened. I basically just had to full blown pay him everything, or I wasn't even able to sell that house, which meant that I had to continue paying on the mortgage and paying on all those bills and getting bled out from there. So that's basically what happened. So the moral of the story is pay your damn taxes. Make sure that you give them the accurate information when you do. Make sure you dot every I, cross every T. It was absolutely an honest mistake, and I paid big time for it. Luckily for me, it wasn't to a point where they said, we just check our account, like money's gone. Like they didn't just take anything from us. You know what I mean? But I feel like it was very, very, very unfair. And, that's it. So that's what happened. Probably the last time I ever talk about it. It's like now at this point, I just want to forget it and move on. It's like, you got a clean slate. I learned so much from the 2021 market. I just learned a lot. I even had somebody recently telling me, hey, I'm wanting to move to Puerto Rico. What was your experience like? Blah, blah, blah. I'm like, man, don't do it. It's a trick. It's not worth it. I mean, it's just not. It wasn't worth it at all. I lost so much money doing that. I'll never even attempt that again. So I had a generator in Puerto Rico, actually. I had a generator the size of a diesel truck engine. Like, I'm pretty sure the generator was like a diesel engine, like a big giant semi-diesel engine. It was the size of a large car. It had its own enclosure outside the house. That thing kicked on and it sounded like a semi truck starting. So yeah, we had that. I mean, I had that. I had solar, everything. It didn't help. I mean, it did help, but it wasn't ideal. So damn, gave me a headache. Sorry to hear that. Things will brighten 1/20/2021. Yeah. I mean, it is what it is. Wow. Excuse me. That caught me off guard. It is what it is, man. It's like, you wonder why. I thought I was taking like such a high road, like just like, you know what, this Puerto Rico thing, love the people, don't like much else about it. Most beautiful beaches I've ever seen, but and we made some really cool friends, and honestly, my wife and I, we were in like a daze the whole time we were there. Right? We weren't even ourselves. We really weren't. We were not ourselves there. Just super, super stressed all the time. I mean, for a month we had to use our swimming pool as a bathtub, and I'm not kidding. Because there was no water pressure because of the way that the voltage was going into the house and it was just bad. So anyway, it is what it is. Man, I've been over an hour. I mean, I don't know. I hope this was helpful. Go check out Somnia. You really do. I really would love for you guys to check it out, and get yourself educated on it. Give me your feedback in the comments down below, and just let me know, what do you guys think? I don't know when I'm going to go live again or do another video. I'm sure at least next week, but I think I'm at a point where I just want to do videos when I have something real to say. Or I feel like there's something very specific, or there's a real reason. Like I'm done feeding into the YouTube algorithm bullshit, trying to do a video every day just to keep the algorithm going. I'd rather do one really big video. This isn't even a big video, honestly, but I'd rather do one really big video a week. It's like a recap of everything that's been going on, what my thoughts are about it. Than just try and do a daily video every day just for the sake of doing it. I really want to just go live when I have something to say, and that's it. But we'll see. Until next time, thanks for joining me. Crow your coins. I'll see you soon.